Good morning, class. This is chapter 15. Today we're going to be talking about the roles of climates in the biomes, and then the different types of biomes, whether they be land or water. So we have quite a bit to get through. So first off, the role of climate. After this lecture, you should be able to identify the cause of climate and explain how the Earth's temperature range is maintained. And then you should be able to identify at least 3 climate zones. Weather. What is the weather? Weather is going to be the day-to-day condition of the Earth's atmosphere at any given time or place. So it's day-to-day. The climate is the average year-after-year conditions of the temperature and precipitation in a region. So the climate is going to go with the average of temperature and how much precipitation that place gets. So the difference between weather and climate is going to be weather is day-to-day, climate is an average. What causes climate? 1, there's going to be the trappage of heat in the atmosphere with the greenhouse effect, the latitude, the wind and ocean currents, precipitation, and the shape and elevation of the land. So the greenhouse effect is actually a natural insulating blanket in the atmosphere. The greenhouse gases get trapped to heat energy to maintain the Earth's temperature range. Some of the greenhouse gases are CO2, CH4, H2O, and other gases. So this is what happened. Okay, we have our atmosphere and CO2 gases and other that were just mentioned, from water vapor to methane, get trapped in the atmosphere, and then the sun actually heats them up and they start speeding up, and then they finally get released. Effects with latitude. There are different latitudes, and the angles of heat has to create 3 main temperature zones, or climate zones, sorry. Climate zones. So latitude, fatitude is how I remember it, and that's going to be going around the Earth. There's different latitudes, and where the sun actually hits those latitudes creates a different climate zone. So here we go. We have the Arctic Circle, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, and the Antarctic Circle. So you need to know those. Cold areas are going to be where the sun's going to strike at a very low area, which will be the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic Circle. And then between 66.5 degrees and 90 degrees north and south of those latitudes. Then near the equator, which is going to be 23.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south latitudes. Going to be your tropical, and these receive direct sunlight all year long. So these ones right here are going to receive sunlight. And then we have our temperate, which would where we would be at. Okay, the temperate zone is going to be located between the polar and the tropic zones. It's the angle of the sun that changes over the course of the year. So our angle is always changing, which creates seasonal changes, and it's located between 66.5 and 23.5 degrees north and south. You'll have to be able to draw a diagram illustrating the 3 main climate zones and be able to label the latitude of each zone. So I want you to do that in your notes. So just draw something like this. Heat transport in the biosphere. The unequal heating of the Earth's surface drives winds and ocean currents. The transport heats throughout the biosphere. Winds are created when warm air rises and cold air sinks. At the equator, the air is always rising, and at the poles, the air is sinking. Ocean currents are similar to wind currents, except for warm water rises and cold water sinks to the ocean floor, creating the ocean currents. And you can see them flowing here. Okay, this interferes with the movement of air masses. And there's a video that you can watch if you'd like to. I'm going to keep moving forward. Mountains and climates. Mountains cause a rain shadow, which is when it rains on one side of the mountain, and then on the other side it's cold and dry, so then there'd be a desert. Lakes, large lakes and climate. Temperature of bodies of water change more slowly than temperatures of land. When the water is warm, it takes longer to cool than the land nearby. When the water is cool, it takes longer to warm up the land nearby. Think about what happens when warm, moist air flows from water to cool, dry air on land and vice versa. When moist air cools, what do you think you get? You're going to get rain. Valleys and climate. Valleys are surrounded by high mountains, which are susceptible to large changes in temperature. So name some factors that contribute to climate. It's going to be trapping of gases by the atmosphere, latitude, wind and ocean currents, shape and elevation of the land, precipitation. Something you'll have to know. Next, we're going to talk about the biomes. You should be able to explain the microclimates and identify characteristics of major land biomes. What is a biome? Okay, a biome is a group of ecosystems. It's characterized by the soil type and climate type, the plant and animals that live there, climate diagram. This is going to show the average temperature and precipitation at a given location during each month of the year. So we have the months down here. We have the precipitation and the amount of our temperature. We have precipitation and the amount of temperature, and it's graphed for us. The bar graph is going to illustrate the precipitation, and the line graph is going to illustrate the temperature. So obviously when it was down here, when it was the hottest out, right there, they had the least amount of rain. Biomes have natural variations that help with different species survivals and conditions in the biome. Tolerance is the ability to produce and survive under the conditions that differ from optimum conditions. Microclimate is the climate in a small area that differs from the climate around it, like a forested park in a city, an oasis in a desert. Ecologists recognize that there are 10 different biomes. So here are the 10 different ones, and we're going to talk about some of those. Tropical rainforest is going to be home to more species than any other biome combined, probably because it's mostly warm and it gets the most precipitation. It's hot and wet year-round. Tropical dry rainforest is generally warm year-round, wet and dry seasons, and plants are tall, deciduous trees. Some of the dominant wildlife are tigers and insects such as termites. Tropical savanna is going to be where frequent fires are set by lightning. Plants are perennial grasses, and dominant wildlife are herbivores such as antelope and zebras. And that's going to be here in Africa. We have it in Australia and South America. Deserts. You can see on the map, this is where the deserts are going to be. These are going to be characterized by low precipitation and variable temperatures. So it's always really, really hot during the day and really cold at night. Plants such as cacti and other succulents survive. Temperate grasslands. This is going to be warm to hot summers and cool winters, and they're going to be very fertile soils. That's where we live. Plants are perennial grasses, and animals are prairie dogs. Temperate wood and shrubland. This is going to be hot to dry summers, poor nutrient soil. Plants are going to be woody, evergreen shrubs. Animals are going to be coyotes. Temperate forests are going to be cold to moderate winters, warm summers, and year-round precipitation. Plants are going to be deciduous trees. Animals are going to be raccoons and skunks. The boreal forest. It's going to be long, cold winters, short, mild summers. So this will be like Alaska and Canada. It's also known as the taiga. Plants are going to be needle-leaf coniferous trees. Animals are going to be lynx and moose. Tundra is characterized by the permafrost, so it's always kind of frozen. Long, cold, dark winters. Plants are going to be mosses, lynches, and sedges. Animals are going to be muskox and caribou. Some other land areas. Some areas of land do not fall neatly into the major biomes, such as mountain ranges, which have abiotic and biotic conditions that vary with elevation. The elevation increases, temperature drops, and precipitation increases. Polar ice caps. Okay, they're going to be icy polar regions, cold year-round. North Polar region, you're going to have mosses and lichens, polar bears, seals, insects, and mites. South Polar regions are going to have penguin and marine animals. Here's a tropical rainforest picture, where we have the canopy where the birds are going to live, and then the forest floor. Now going to the aquatic ecosystems. We're going to be able to identify the factors that govern aquatic ecosystems, identify two types of freshwater ecosystems, describe and characterize the marine zones. So aquatic ecosystems are aquatic communities that are governed by biotic and abiotic factors. Some of the abiotic factors are the depth of the water, which determines the amount of light that organisms normally receive, and is usually determined by the distance from the shore. Flow of oxygen, latitude and temperature, and then the chemistry of water. The chemistry of water refers to the amount of dissolved nutrients in which life depends, such as salt, nutrients, and oxygen. So what does the chemistry of water refer to? I just said it. It's going to depend on the amount of dissolved nutrients in which life depends. Which abiotic factors govern the aquatic ecosystem? Light, nutrient availability, and oxygen. Freshwater ecosystem. So there's only 2% of the surface water on Earth is freshwater. Freshwater ecosystems can be divided into two main types. First is flowing water ecosystems, which are rivers, streams, creeks, and brooks. They originate in mountains and hills and higher elevations. And then near the source of water is a turbulent dissolved oxygen with little plant life. Flowing water ecosystems. Organisms are very well adapted to the flow. There's sisal, which are live anchored to the river bottom. Suckers or hooks keep them from being washed away. And still other species are strong swimmers, so they have streamlined bodies. Standing water ecosystems is the second one, which is going to be ponds and lakes. They're not completely still water, but water flowing in and out. It circulates within, distributes heat, oxygen, and nutrients. Standing water ecosystems will have plankton, which are tiny floating or weakly swimming organisms that live both in freshwater and saltwater environments. Plankton would be washed away from moving water environments. Standing water ecosystems with their plankton, they have phytoplankton, which are single-celled algae that are the base of many aquatic webs, and they're photosynthetic producers. So they create energy by photosynthesis. Zooplankton are going to be phototonic animals that feed on phytoplankton. So we have photoplankton and zooplankton. Wetlands. We are going to end here for right now, and I will start part 2 video.